It started softly, almost unnoticed, a subtle shift, a forgotten word, a misplaced thought. Friends and family began to sense that something was changing in Joanne Woodward, the once sharp, witty, and luminous actress whose mind had always been as captivating as her beauty was beginning to slip. It was the 2000s. Decades after she had already conquered Hollywood and built one of the most genuine love stories the industry had ever seen. At her side was Paul Newman, the great love of her life. Watching helplessly as the woman who once commanded every emotion on screen slowly faded into a blur of lost memories. The diagnosis was cruelly fitting in its irony. Alzheimer's, the relentless thief of remembrance, had entered their lives. For a woman whose craft depended on feeling and memory, it was an unbearable twist. Yet even in decline, Joanne carried herself with the same grace and quiet dignity that had defined her entire life. Her journey began far from the glitz of Los Angeles. On February 27, 1930, in Thomasville, Georgia, born Joanne Gignolayet Tremiere Woodward, she grew up surrounded by Southern charm. Raised by a school principal father and a mother who adored the movies. Her mother even named her after a Joan Crawford character, unknowingly setting her daughter's path in motion. From a young age, Joanne was entranced by the magic of film, spending hours in dark theaters watching women on the silver screen who seemed capable of commanding the world with a single look. She mimicked them for fun, performing for neighbors and family, never realizing she was laying the groundwork for an extraordinary future. When her family later settled in Marietta, Georgia, she discovered her true calling through school plays. Acting wasn't just an escape for her. It was an exploration of emotion and humanity itself. After finishing high school, Joanne pursued her dream with unwavering determination. She attended Louisiana State University, where she studied drama and cultivated both her intellect and her instincts. Unlike many aspiring actresses of her generation, her allure wasn't just in her looks, it was in her mind. She understood characters from the inside out. In the early 1950s, she took a leap of faith and moved to New York City, where she immersed herself in theater and television work. The early years were rough, endless auditions, countless rejections, long stretches of uncertainty, but she never lost faith. She knew her time would come, and it did, in a way she could never have scripted. On a Broadway stage, fate introduced her to a young, blue-eyed actor named Paul Newman. At the time, Paul was married and raising a family. But something passed between them that neither could ignore: a deep artistic and emotional connection. They started as colleagues, then friends, united by shared discipline, humor, and respect. Together, they honed their craft in an era when live television was shaping American entertainment. The chemistry that sparked between them would soon become one of Hollywood's most enduring love stories. Joanne's defining moment came in 1957, with her role in The Three Faces of Eve, where she portrayed a woman with multiple personalities, a role so emotionally demanding that it could have easily consumed a lesser actor. Her performance was raw, layered, and utterly mesmerizing. Audiences were astonished, critics were ecstatic, and the Academy took notice. Joanne won the Oscar for Best Actress, becoming one of the youngest recipients in history. But fame never went to her head. She often joked that celebrity was like shaving: you had to tend to it daily or risk losing it. Beneath the humor was a humility that made her even more magnetic. Not long after, her friendship with Paul deepened into love. When his marriage ended, they married in 1958, beginning a partnership that would become legendary. Their relationship wasn't defined by Hollywood standards, but by sincerity. While tabloids chased scandal, Paul and Joanne quietly built a marriage based on loyalty, laughter, and shared purpose. They raised 3 daughters together, balancing film careers with family life in a way that seemed almost impossible by Hollywood norms. Though Joanne was an Oscar-winning actress, she often found herself standing in Paul's shadow by choice, not by failure. She once said, "I didn't see it as giving something up. I saw it as gaining something far greater." Her career never faltered, but her priorities shifted. Still, her performances in films like Rachel, Summer Wishes, Winter Dreams, and Mr. and Mrs. Bridge showcased her depth and artistry. Each role reflected her empathy for complex women, flawed, vulnerable, but resilient. As the years went on, Hollywood's attention drifted to newer faces, but Joanne never chased the spotlight. She turned instead to the theater and television, where she found fulfillment in creative freedom rather than fame. Behind the scenes, she worked alongside Paul on their philanthropic endeavors, most notably Newman's Own, which gave away millions to charity. Together, they proved that success meant more when shared with others. When Paul Newman was diagnosed with cancer, Joanne became his steady companion through every painful stage. After his passing in 2008, those close to her said she was never quite the same. The man who had been her partner in both art and life was gone, and the silence he left behind was immense. Soon after, the signs of Alzheimer's began to show more clearly. Scripts that once came easily to her now seemed foreign. Memories blurred and drifted away. Her family shielded her from public intrusion, protecting the dignity of a woman who had spent her life giving so much of herself to others. But while time took her memory, it could not touch her legacy. Joanne Woodward was not just an actress, she was a pioneer. She redefined what it meant to be a leading woman. Intelligent, emotionally complex, and unapologetically real. She and Paul showed that love in Hollywood could be faithful. That artistry could coexist with integrity today. When we look at photos of her laughing with Paul, holding her children close, or standing radiant beneath the glow of her Oscar, we see more than a movie star. We see a woman who lived her truth with courage and compassion. Joanne's story is proof that while time may erode memory, it cannot erase love, talent, or the impact of a life beautifully lived. Joanne Woodward's life was a masterpiece of tapestry, woven with brilliance and heartache, passion and peace. Though her voice may have grown quiet, its echo remains in every film, every smile, every person she inspired. If her story touched you, if her strength and grace still move you, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this one. Because some legacies deserve to be remembered forever, Joanne Woodward's is one that will never fade.